The stars were silent, but not safe. Somewhere far from Earth, in a hidden laboratory drifting between dying suns, aliens worked in shadows, nor not friendly explorers, nor peaceful scientists. They were engineers of life, masters of genetic design. For centuries, they had captured species across galaxies, cutting their DNA, reshaping it, searching for the perfect warrior. Inside the cold chamber of steel and glass, they had tried again and again. Thousands of failures floated in tanks, bodies that never survived, creatures that were discarded like broken tools. But one experiment was different. She was human. The aliens had taken her from Earth without warning. To them, humans were weak, fragile, noisy animals. But they saw something hidden in human blood, something their science could not explain. So they changed her, pulled her DNA apart, stitched it with alien patterns, expected another failure. But she lived. Not only did she live, she grew stronger. Her cells healed faster than they should. Her heart pumped with strange rhythm, able to survive poisons that killed other species. Her brain lit up with patterns that even the alien machines could not predict. To the scientists, her DNA was imperfect. It didn't follow their rules. It bent them, and that imperfection terrified them. They whispered in their strange voices, "She is unstable, dangerous, but useful." They locked her in a cage of energy, watching her through the walls. Every day they tested her. Fire, ice, blades, poison. She survived them all. They gave her puzzles no other creature could solve. She solved them too quickly, as if she knew their minds before they even moved. But the aliens made a mistake. They forgot that she was human, and humans always fight back. On Earth, nobody knew she was gone. But deep inside the alien vessel, she began to remember who she was. Her name, her home, the faces of her family. And with each test, with each cruel experiment, her anger grew. The scientists thought they were creating a weapon for themselves. They did not know they were forging a weapon for humanity. One night, as the ship drifted in the dark void, alarms broke the silence. A cage door had opened. A guard lay broken, blood dripping on the cold floor. And she, half human, half experiment, was free. Her eyes glowed faintly, reflecting the alien lights. Her body carried scars from hundreds of failed experiments, but her spirit burned hotter than any star outside. The aliens panicked. Their perfect control had shattered. She moved silently through the halls, faster than the cameras could follow. She remembered the cruel voices. She remembered the pain. And she swore in her heart she would never be a weapon for them. But what she didn't know yet was this: her imperfection. The strange flaw in her DNA was the one thing the universe had been waiting for. Humanity, still young and crawling among its own planets, had no idea that a war was coming. A war where her blood would be the key, because to the alien empire, she was no longer just a failed experiment. She was the greatest threat they had ever created, and Earth was about to find out why. The stars outside the ship trembled as alarms screamed. Scientists shouted orders, weapons armed, machines powered up. But in the middle of the chaos, she stood calm. She was not afraid anymore. The fear had burned away, leaving only something new, something human, something the aliens could never control. She whispered into the void, though no one could hear her yet, "Send me home and let them know. I will fight for humanity." Then in that moment, for the first time, the stars seemed to listen. The ship was alive with chaos. Red lights flashed, alarms screamed, and alien voices shouted in panic. The scientists who once controlled everything were now afraid of their own creation. She was no longer just an experiment. They realized she was a storm they had unleashed. Her bare feet ran across the cold metal floor. She felt no fear, only a sharp focus. The ship was a maze of twisting corridors, heavy doors, and strange glowing panels. But somehow, she knew where to go. As if her blood carried a map the aliens never intended her to have. Behind her guards, chased with weapons that fired bursts of burning energy. The blasts lit the halls in white light, but she was faster. Her body moved with impossible speed, sliding behind walls, leaping over barriers, striking like a shadow. She had never been trained. She had never held a weapon before. But her instincts were perfect. The aliens called her defective, but her imperfection was survival. She found herself in a vast chamber filled with glass tanks. Inside floated strange creatures, failed experiments, broken lives. Some had extra limbs, some had twisted faces, others were nothing but bone and tissue. She stopped for a moment, staring. They had all suffered like her. Her fists tightened. The rage inside her burned hotter. She whispered to the silent creatures, "I will not let them do this again." And then she moved on. The ship shook as heavy. Footsteps followed. Alien soldiers, larger than her, armored in black scales, marched in. They raised their weapons, ready to trap her. But something inside her snapped awake. Her vision sharpened. Time slowed. She could see their movements before. They happened. One raised his arm, she ducked. Another fired, she twisted aside. A third lunged, she grabbed his weapon, spun it around, and fired back. In seconds, 3 soldiers were on the ground. She stared at her hands, trembling. She had never been trained for war. But her body, her blood, moved like a weapon older than memory. The aliens had changed her DNA, but they had unlocked something they could never control. The scientists watching from the control room were horrified. Their voices hissed with fear. She adapts too fast, learns too quickly. Stop her before she reaches the core. But it was already too late. She was moving toward the heart of the ship. She didn't know why, but she felt it calling her. The core, a vast engine glowing with alien power, was more than just machinery. It was the prison that held her away from home. She could reach it. Maybe she could find a way back to Earth. The corridors grew darker, the air heavier. She could feel the hum of energy through the walls. Ahead, a massive steel door blocked her path. Dozens of alien guards stood waiting, weapons drawn. It was a trap. They thought she would fear them, but instead, she smiled. The fight was brutal. Weapons clashed. Energy blasts lit the air. Claws scraped against steel. She moved like lightning, her body bending, striking, surviving where no human should. One by one, the soldiers fell. She was cut, bruised, bleeding, but she stood. Finally, the last soldier dropped. The great door opened with a low rumble, and she saw it. The alien core. A giant sphere of blue light pulsing like a heartbeat. Machines wrapped around it, feeding it power. Strange symbols floated in the air, written in languages no human had ever seen, and yet she understood them. Her DNA, the imperfection the aliens hated, allowed her to see patterns hidden in the light. The symbols were not just words, they were keys, they were paths. She realized the core was more than a machine. It was a gate, a bridge through space. She touched the glowing surface, burned her skin, but she did not pull back. Images flashed in her mind, stars, galaxies, battles, and finally, Earth, her home. She gasped. She now knew the truth. The aliens had not built this ship only to create weapons. They had built it to control entire worlds. They had built it to bring war to humanity. And she was the only one who could stop them. Her voice shook as she whispered, "If they want a weapon, then I will be one, but not for them. For us. For Earth." The ship trembled as if it had heard her promise. But in the shadows above, unseen by her, something else stirred. A figure taller than any soldier, armored in silver, with eyes like burning stars, stepped forward. Unlike the scientists, he was no ordinary alien. He was a warden and enforcer of the Empire, and he had been waiting for her. The chamber shook with a low vibration, like the growl of a predator. She froze, her hand still on the glowing alien core. Something was coming. From the shadows above, the warden stepped into the light. His armor was silver and black, each plate carved with glowing lines that pulsed like veins. His height was monstrous, 2 times taller than her. His eyes burned white, cold, and merciless. He did not rush. He did not shout. He simply walked forward, each step heavy enough to make the floor tremble. The scientists whispered through the intercom, "The warden has been released." She cannot survive this. She turned, her body aching from the last fight, her hands still bleeding. But when her eyes locked on him, she felt no fear, only challenge. The warden's voice was deep, vibrating through the metal walls. You were not meant to exist. You were an accident, a flaw. Flaws must be erased. She clenched her fists. Maybe I am a flaw, but I am human, and humans fight. For a moment, the silence was heavy. Then the warden moved. He was impossibly fast for his size. His blade, forged from alien energy, cut through the air with a sound like thunder. She dodged, the strike missing her by inches and leaving a smoking scar across the steel floor. The battle began. She darted around him, striking with speed, but his armor absorbed her blows like stone. He swung again, his blades smashing through. Machines, sparks flying. The entire core chamber shook as if it might collapse. Her mind raced. She could not match his strength. Every strike he made could kill her instantly. But her blood, the imperfection the aliens hated, burned with strange fire. She could feel it guiding her. The warden struck downward. She rolled aside, leapt to the wall, and climbed like she had done it her entire life. He turned, slashing again, but she dropped onto his back, punching where the glowing lines of his armor crossed. A flash of blue light burst from the hit. The warden staggered. She realized the truth. The glowing lines were weak points. He growled, throwing her off with one violent motion. She hit the floor hard, pain spreading through her ribs. But she forced herself up. Her vision blurred, blood ran from her lip, yet she stood tall. You are not a warrior, the warden hissed. You are only prey. Her voice was calm, even as she gasped for air. No, I am the first warning. Humanity is coming. The words cut deeper than her fists. The warden froze for a heartbeat, his white eyes narrowing. The idea of humanity rising, of billions like her, was something the Empire feared. And in that moment of hesitation, she attacked again. She rushed forward, sliding under his swing, striking the glowing lines with precise, furious blows. Each hit sent sparks flying, cracks spreading across the armor. The warden roared, swinging wildly, but she moved faster than his rage. Finally, with one last strike, she drove her fist into the center of his chest. The armor shattered, energy burst out, flooding the chamber with blue fire. The warden staggered, his burning eyes fading. You cannot stop us, he growled, collapsing to the floor. But she was already turning to the core. Her body shook, her hands trembling, but she pressed them against the pulsing surface again. The symbols appeared, swirling like rivers of light. She didn't just see them, she understood them. The core was not only a gate, it was a beacon, signal, and now she had a choice. She could destroy it, ending the ship and her captors. Or she could send a message, cry for help. Her eyes closed. She remembered her family, her home, the blue skies of Earth. She remembered how the aliens looked at her as if humans were weak. As if they were nothing, she whispered, not weak, not nothing. We fight. Her hands moved across the glowing surface, activating symbols she should not have been able to read. The core responded, light surging outward like a star being born. Across space, the signal raced toward Earth, a single plea for help. The stars shook as the message left the alien ship, crossing galaxies. Humanity would hear it. Humanity would know. But far beyond the ship, across countless worlds, others also heard the signal. Alien warlords, hunters, empires. All now knew that humanity had created something dangerous, and they would come. As the core dimmed, McCart's knees buckled. She fell to the floor, exhausted, her body broken, but her spirit unshaken. The warden lay silent beside her, his armor smoking. She had won this battle. She had started a war, and Earth was not ready. Far away from the alien ship, light years. Across the endless dark Earth was silent. Cities glowed at night, oceans moved with calm waves, and people lived their lives without knowing the stars were watching. But in one hidden facility deep under the mountains, something changed. An alarm began to scream. Computers flickered. Screens filled with strange symbols patterns no human language could explain. The scientists stared in shock. The message had not come from Earth. It had come from the stars. At first they thought it was random noise, another cosmic signal, like those that astronomers always debated about. But then the words formed, clear and sharp. Words written in English. They took me. They changed me. Aliens are real. They are coming. Prepare. The room fell silent. No one moved. It was impossible, yet there it was. A human voice carried across space. The general in charge. A man hardened by years of war leaned forward. Run it again? Verify. Where did it come from? The technicians checked, their hands shaking. Not from our satellites, not from any probe. The origin is unknown, but it's far outside our system. It's thousands of light years. The general's face hardened, and the voice, a scientist whispered, human. News of the signal spread through secret channels, first to governments, then to the highest councils of power. Leaders who never believed in life beyond Earth suddenly faced proof, not as proof warning. For days, the world held its breath. The signal repeated again and again, her voice echoing across Earth's deepest receivers. Some called it a hoax. Some called it a miracle. But the military knew the truth. This was no trick, because the message carried more than words. It carried data, patterns of alien code, maps of stars unknown to Earth's science, and hidden inside that code, something stranger, DNA sequences. The scientists decoded them in disbelief. It was human DNA, but not normal. Changed. Enhanced. Impossible. The general slammed his fist on the table. They experimented on one of ours. The silence in the room turned into fire. Humanity had always fought wars against itself, borders, power, resources. But now, for the first time, they faced something greater. It's an enemy from beyond, and the voice of one girl stolen from her home became the spark. Across Earth, secret preparations began. Factories shifted their work. Satellites were armed. Fleets of warships that were once only dreams on paper started moving into construction. The governments argued, but the soldiers did not. Humanity would not wait for the aliens to arrive unprepared. But while the world prepared, ordinary people whispered about the message. Who was she? Why her? And what had they done to her? In one city, a young boy listened to the news and whispered to his mother, "She's out there. She's fighting for us." The mother pulled him close, not knowing if it was comfort or warning. Back on the alien ship, lay in the darkness of her cell once more. They had captured her after her fight with the warden. Her body was broken, her strength drained, but she did not regret what she had done. She had sent the message. Earth now knew. The aliens, however, were furious. The scientists shouted in anger, their cold voices shaking with fear. They had wanted to use her as a weapon, but now she had turned against them. One of them hissed, "The humans will rise. Ain't. We'll resist." Another replied, "Then we must strike first. We must crush them before they grow." In her cage, she smiled through the pain. They were afraid. For the first time, the Empire was afraid of humans. She whispered to herself, "Good. Let them fear." On Earth, the leaders debated endlessly. But the soldiers understood one truth. If the girl had survived them, humanity could too. The general stood before his people, his voice steady and cold. "We have been warned. We have been challenged. And we will answer. If they come for us, they will learn what it means to fight humanity." The room shook with agreement. Plans moved forward. Ships would fly. Weapons would rise. Humanity, once divided, now had a single purpose, and somewhere across the galaxy. The girl waited, alone, changed, but not broken. Her DNA was imperfect by alien science, but perfect for the war humanity was about to fight, and the stars would soon know the truth. Humans were not prey. Humans were coming. The cell was dark, its walls glowing faintly with alien energy that pulsed like a heartbeat. She sat against the cold floor, her body weak from the battle with the warden. Every muscle ached, every scar burned. But her spirit did not break, because she knew the truth. Her message had gone through. Earth now knew. The guards thought she was silent. They thought she was beaten. But even in chains, her mind was awake. She listened to the ship, the hum of engines, the footsteps of soldiers, the whispers of scientists beyond the walls, and something else, something faint but alive. Voices they came from deeper in the ship, muffled cries, strange growls, echoes of pain. She closed her eyes and focused, and slowly, she understood she was not alone. The aliens had not only experimented on her, they had cages filled with others. When the guards dragged her through the halls for more tests, she saw them, rows of tanks, filled with strange creatures, half dead, half alive. Some had claws, some had wings, some had eyes that glowed in sorrow. They were from worlds she had never seen, prisoners broken by experiments like hers. The guards sneered as they passed, but she stared at the captives. And in their eyes, she saw something she recognized: hope that night. When the guards threw her back into her cell, she whispered into the dark, "You hear me, don't you?" At first there was silence. Then, faintly, a low growl answered from the cell across the hall. Another voice hissed in a language she didn't know. And then another, softer, cracked with pain, but clear enough to understand. "Yes, we hear you." Her heart quickened. She pressed her hand to the wall. "They took me too. They changed me. But we don't have to be their weapons." For a long time, the creatures were quiet. Then the soft voice replied again, trembling but strong. "We are too weak, too broken." She shook her head, even though they could not see her. "No, that's what they want you to believe. I fought them. I hurt them. You can too. Together, we can break this ship." A deep growl echoed from the far end of the cells, filled with rage. Fight. Together. And in that moment, something shifted. She was no longer just a prisoner. She was a leader. Days passed. The aliens thought she was weakening. They forced her into tests, injected her with toxins, tried to break her spirit. But every time she returned to her cell, she whispered to the others. She shared her fire. She told them of Earth's of oceans and skies, of humans who never stopped fighting, no matter how weak they seemed. She told them that the Empire was not unstoppable. Fear could be broken. And slowly, the captives believed her. They began to answer back. The growling beast shared its strength. The soft voice spoke of secret cracks in the guards' routines. A winged creature whispered of air vents that connected the cells. Piece by piece, they built something the aliens never imagined. Hope turned into a plan. One night, the ship trembled as it passed through a star system. Guards marched by, their weapons glowing. And then it happened. A claw tore through a cell door. A roar filled the corridor. The first captive broke free. The alarm screamed. Lights flashed red. The guards shouted in panic, rushing to contain the chaos. But this time, they were not facing one prisoner. They were facing many. The beast tore through soldiers like paper. The winged creature leapt into the air, cutting down guards from above. The soft-voiced prisoner used strange powers that cracked the alien walls themselves. And at the heart of it all was her. Her body was still weak, but her will was steel. She fought with nothing but her fists and her fire, guiding the others, showing them how to strike, how to resist, how to survive. Together, they were unstoppable. The scientists screamed through the intercom, "Contain them! Kill them all!" But their fear was louder than their commands. The Empire's perfect control was breaking apart. By the end of the night, the prison wing was destroyed. The captives were free. For the first time, the alien ship trembled, not from power, but from rebellion. She stood among them, breathing hard, her body covered in blood and scars. Around her, The strange creatures looked to her with respect. The beast lowered its massive head. The winged one folded its bloody wings. The soft voice whispered, "You lead, we follow." Her eyes burned with determination. Her looked toward the stars beyond the walls. "I am human," she said softly, "and I will lead you home. Together, we will show them what humanity means." The captives roared in answer, their voices shaking the ship. The Empire had created monsters, but in doing so, they had also created an army, and at its heart stood the girl with imperfect DNA, imperfect to them, but perfect for the war to come. The Empire had always believed it was unshakable. Its fleet stretched across stars, its armies crushed worlds without resistance, its science bent life itself into weapons. For thousands of years, no one dared to rise against it. But now, a single human flaw had started a fire. Reports spread through the Empire like lightning. An experiment had escaped. Human had survived their science, and where she was not alone anymore. The captives were fighting back. Whole prison ships were trembling with riots. Soldiers whispered of prisoners tearing free, of guards being overrun, of laboratories set ablaze from within. In the high halls of the Empire, the rulers listened in silence. Their faces were hidden behind silver masks, their voices sharp with anger. One hissed, "It is spreading. Containment has failed." Another growled, "Then we burn the infection. Destroy every ship touched by rebellion. Kill every prisoner. Leave nothing alive." But the oldest ruler spoke last, his voice slow and cold. "Oh, this is not just rebellion. This is something worse. It is humanity." The chamber fell silent. Even the rulers, who had crushed countless species, spoke the word with unease. Humanity. A species they had once considered weak, noisy, fragile, yet somehow one human had done what no empire ever expected. She had given others the will to fight, and will was more dangerous than any weapon. Far across the galaxy, Earth stirred with new purpose. The girl's signal had been decoded, its alien maps studied, its fragments of code broken open. Inside those fragments, humanity found knowledge it was never meant to have: blueprints of alien engines, the skeleton of faster-than-light travel, designs for weapons far beyond their time, factories. Once built for warplanes, now forged pieces of ships that could fly between stars. Engineers who once built satellites now struggled day and night to recreate alien power cores. The world was not. United Nations still argued, leaders still distrusted each other, but the signal had changed everything. Humanity might fight among itself, but against the stars. They would stand as one. The general who had first heard the message stood before a hidden hangar. Inside, enormous shadows loomed, hulls of ships unlike anything Earth had seen before. Not just satellites, not just rockets. Warships. One of his officers whispered, "Sir, we're not ready." The general's eyes burned with determination. "Neither are they. That girl bought us time. We won't waste it." Back on the prison ship, rebellion spread like wildfire. The girl, scarred, bruised, but unbroken, led her strange allies through broken halls. Alarms screamed, smoke filled the air, bodies of guards littered the floor. Her army was not human. They were beasts, hybrids, broken survivors of alien experiments. Yet under her voice, they became something greater. They became soldiers. She taught them how to move as one, how to strike and vanish, how to turn their pain into strength. Her human instinct, her imperfect DNA, gave her what the Empire's science never could: creativity. She did not follow rules. She broke them, and the prisoners followed. Each battle won them more allies. Cells opened. Captives poured out. Some were too weak, but others rose, burning with revenge. The Empire's ship, once a fortress, was becoming a battlefield slipping from their control. The scientists were desperate. They spoke in fear to their masters. "She is the center. Without her, the others will fall. We must end her." So they prepared something worse than guards, worse than wardens. In the deepest part of the ship, behind layers of steel and firewalls, they had created another experiment. Stronger, faster, built from the DNA of many worlds, sharpened into a living weapon. They called it the prototype. And, unlike her, it was loyal. As the rebels regrouped in a hidden bay, she felt the shift in the air. The walls trembled, the lights flickered. Something was coming. Her allies growled, their bodies tense, their eyes fixed on the shadows. She whispered, "Stay ready." The door slid open, and the prototype stepped through. It looked almost human, but taller, stronger, with alien lines carved into its flesh like glowing scars. Its eyes burned cold blue. It moved with perfect control, no hesitation, no mercy. The prisoners hissed in fear. Even the beast lowered its head. The prototype stared at her. Its voice was sharp, mechanical, but with a trace of humanity. "You are the mistake. I am the correction." The chamber went silent, her fists clenched. Her body was weak, but her spirit blazed. She stepped forward, unafraid. "Then you'll learn what a mistake can do." The battle for the ship had just changed. The chamber felt colder when the prototype stepped in. Every captive, every survivor, every creature she had freed went silent. Their roars of rebellion, their cries of rage, gone. All that remained was fear. The prototype's eyes glowed a sharp blue, piercing through the smoke. Its body was smooth, carved by alien science, every muscle balanced, every movement precise. Where she carried scars, it carried perfection. Where she stumbled, it would never fall. The scientists' voices echoed from hidden speakers. Prototype. Eliminate the imperfection. Her allies moved forward, growling, ready to fight. But the prototype raised one hand. A shock wave of energy burst out, throwing them back like toys. They hit the walls, groaning in pain, unable to rise. Only she remained standing. The prototype's gaze locked on her. "You are weak, flawed, unstable. You are nothing." Blood from her lip, standing tall despite her broken body. "I'm human, and that means I'm everything you're not." The battle began. The prototype struck first, faster than anything she had ever faced. Its punch cracked the steel floor. Where she had been standing a second earlier, she rolled aside, her heart racing, her mind screaming at her to move. "Move, move." It came again, kicks, strikes, each one perfect, each one designed to kill. She dodged, barely surviving, every breath sharper than fire in her lungs. When she counterattacked, her fists slammed into its chest, its jaw, its ribs. But where alien guards had fallen, the prototype did not even flinch. Its skin was like stone, its bones harder than steel. It grabbed her arm, twisting, almost snapping it. Pain shot through her body. She screamed, but instead of falling, she used the pain. She spun with it, kicking hard into the glowing lines carved across its chest. The prototype staggered. Only for a second, but it was enough. She saw it then. The glowing scars weren't decoration. They were conduits. Energy pulsed through them like veins. Weak points. Just like the warden, the prototype tilted its head, almost curious. "You adapt. That is your nature. But adaptation cannot overcome perfection." Her lips curled into a smile, blood dripping from her chin. Perfection can't improvise. Perfection can't break rules. But humans can. She lunged again. This time she didn't fight like a soldier. She fought like a human. She was messy, unpredictable. She used the walls, the floor, the debris around her. She ducked under its punches, grabbed a shard of broken steel, and slashed across its glowing scars. Sparks flew. The prototype roared in pain for the first time. Her allies, still weak, raised their heads. Hope flickered in their eyes again. But the prototype was not finished. Its body surged with blue fire, energy crackling across its arms. It struck again, faster, harder, each blow shaking the chamber. She was thrown against the wall, her ribs cracking. She fell, gasping for air. The prototype loomed over her, ready to finish it. "You will not survive. Humanity will not survive." Vision blurred. Her body refused to move. But inside, something deeper than blood burned. She remembered Earth. She remembered her family. She remembered the boy who would whisper to his mother, "She's fighting for us." And she stood. Her legs shook. Her arms trembled. But she stood. "Maybe I won't survive," she whispered. "But humanity will, because we don't give up, because we fight even when we're broken." The prototype swung its fist. She caught it, barely. The force tore her skin, broke her bones, but she held on. Her free hand, she drove the shard of steel deep into its chest. Right through the glowing scars, the prototype screamed, its perfect body convulsing, blue fire bursting from within. She tore the shard upward, splitting the conduits. Energy exploded, lighting the chamber with blinding light. When the smoke cleared, the prototype lay shattered on the ground. She collapsed beside it, coughing blood, her body broken. But she was alive. Her allies gathered around her. The beast growled low in respect. The soft voice whispered, You did it." She forced herself to smile. "Not me. Us. That's the difference." The captives roared again, louder than ever, their voices shaking the ship. The Empire's strongest weapon was dead. Rebellion was alive. And she, the human flaw, the imperfect creation, had proven the greatest truth of all: perfection breaks. Humanity endures. The ship drifted in silence, its once perfect order now shattered. Smoke poured from broken halls. Alarms screamed without end. And the Empire's soldiers lay defeated across its decks. At the heart of it all stood her, the human experiment, the imperfection, girl they had stolen, twisted, and tried to control. She was bruised, bleeding, and barely able to stand, but her eyes still burned with fire. Around her, the captives gathered, the beast, the winged one, the soft voice, and many others. No longer prisoners.
No longer experiments.
They were free, and they followed her. She looked at them, her voice weak but steady. "The ship is ours. Now, and with it we fight back." The captives roared in answer, their voices shaking the metal walls. Far away, Earth was no longer silent. The girl's signal had changed everything. In hidden hangars, enormous warships now stood ready. Their hulls were patched together from human steel and stolen alien blueprints. They were crude, imperfect, not as sleek as the Empire's vessels, but they were real. Humanity's first interstellar fleet. The general stood before them, his voice echoing across the chamber. "We did not choose this war, but it has come, and we will answer." A single girl fought alone among the stars. Now we fight with her. Humanity will rise. Around him, soldiers stood ready, their faces hard, their hearts steady. For the first time in history, Earth was not preparing to fight itself. It was preparing to fight the galaxy. Back on the captured ship, she sat in the command chair. Alien symbols glowed across the controls. Scientists had once mocked her inability to understand their perfect language. But now, she didn't just read it, she bent it. Her imperfect DNA let her see patterns the Empire had never imagined. With a touch of her hand, she took control of the ship. Lights flared, engines roared. The prisoners gasped in awe. They were no longer drifting captives. They had a weapon, a warship. She spoke to them softly. "We will not hide, will not run. We will show them humanity's answer." The Empire reacted with fury. Fleets were ordered to hunt her. Whole sectors of space were set on fire to crush rebellion. But every time a ship arrived, it found resistance waiting. The girl and her freed army struck like lightning. They raided supply convoys. They broke open prison ships. Every battle freed more captives. More voices joining the roar of rebellion, and whispers spread across the galaxy. The human fights. The human leads. The human cannot be stopped. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Empire trembled. Then came the moment the universe had been waiting for. Her stolen ship entered a new star system, fleeing from an enemy fleet. Alien soldiers, prepared for another easy kill. But as the stars shifted, new signals lit up their sensors. Ships, dozens of them. Not alien, not Empire human, crude hulls, glowing engines. Weapons still rough compared to the Empire's perfection, but they were real, and they were ready. The captives on her ship stared in silence. The beast rumbled low, almost reverent. The winged one whispered, "Your people." Her chest tightened. Tears burned in her eyes. For the first time since her capture, she saw them humans, flying among the stars, and they saw her. The human fleet hailed the stolen ship. A voice crackled through, that comes sharp, steady, and filled with pride. "This is Earth Command. We received your message. You are not alone anymore." Her hands trembled on the console. She closed her eyes, whispering back, "Took you long enough?" Laughter, cheers, and shouts filled the coms. Soldiers who had doubted now knew the truth. She was real, humanity's first daughter among the stars. The Empire's fleet arrived, massive and terrible. The sky filled with fire. The war had begun. On one side, perfect alien ships, cold and merciless. On the other, humanity's imperfect fleet, raw and untested. Between them, her stolen vessel, leading a rebel army of freed captives, the stars, themselves shook as the first shots were fired, and in the middle of it all, she stood unafraid. She was not just one girl anymore. She was a symbol, a weapon forged from imperfection, proof that humanity was ready to fight. Her voice carried across the fleet, strong and steady. "They thought I was weak. They thought humans were prey. But they were wrong. We are not weak. We are not prey. We are humanity, and we fight." The fleets roared forward. The battle for the galaxy had begun, and from that day, no empire, no alien, no ruler of the stars ever forgot the truth. Her DNA was imperfect by alien science, but perfect for humanity's wars.